The immense black stone chamber of the Galactic Council stretched impossibly wide, its curved walls rising hundreds of meters to a distant dome that shimmered with the projected images of nebulae and distant star systems. Elena Cross sat rigidly in her seat, the small human section feeling particularly cramped today. The Council had allocated them only 5 seats, despite Earth now having 17 colonies across 9 star systems. It was, like so many other things in this chamber, a carefully calculated slight. Ambassador Elena Cross scanned the representatives of over 200 sentient species filling the vast amphitheater. Translucent Medusan delegates floated in specialized environment bubbles. The insectoid Zephyrins clicked their mandibles impatiently. The massive, 6-limbed Vortani occupied an entire section to themselves. And in the center pit, Council leader Joran's silvery scales glinted under the artificial light as he manipulated the holographic voting display. Elena glanced at her 2 aides. Admiral Singh's weathered face remained impassive, but she could see the tension in his jaw. The former commander of Earth's orbital defense fleet had seen too much combat to be intimidated by political theater. Yet even he seemed affected by the gravity of today's vote. On her other side, Director Hayes tapped nervously on his datapad, his academic mind already calculating probabilities and contingencies. "For 20 years, we've played by their rules," Elena whispered. 20 years of concessions and compromise." Hayes nodded slightly. "And still, we're treated like newcomers." Admiral Singh's eyes never left the central pit. "The Kepler colonies can't hold out much longer without intervention. The pirates grow bolder every day." Elena didn't need the reminder. The reports from New Dallas and the other human settlements in the outer Kepler sector had grown increasingly desperate. 3 colony ships destroyed, mining facilities raided, thousands dead or missing, and the Council had done nothing but express concern and form committees. "The human petition regarding mining rights and defensive authority in the Kepler sector is now before this Council," Joran announced, his voice echoing through the chamber's perfect acoustics. "Ambassador Cross has presented evidence of pirate activity threatening her species' colonies. Earth seeks permission to establish defensive platforms and exclusive resource claims within the contested regions." Elena had spent months crafting this proposal. It represented humanity's best hope, the right to defend themselves and secure the resources needed to sustain their expansion. She had made countless compromises to make it palatable to the Council's major powers. "We will now vote," Zoran continued. "The Zephyrin Collective?" The lead Zephyrin rose, compound eyes gleaming. "The collective votes no. Humans have not demonstrated sufficient commitment to galactic harmony to warrant such authorities." Elena felt the first jolt of shock. The Zephyrins had privately indicated support. She glanced at Hayes, whose fingers were now flying across his datapad in confusion. "The Meridian Empire?" "The Empire votes no. The Kepler sector lies within our sphere of interest." One by one, the votes came in. No, 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 abstain, no. Each rejection hammered against Elena's composure. When the Alterans, Earth's supposed allies, abstained rather than support them, she felt something deep within her shift. The diplomatic facade she had maintained for 2 decades began to crack. "The Draconian hegemony?" "The hegemony votes no," the reptilian representative hissed with obvious pleasure. "Humans are too impulsive for such responsibilities." By the time the last vote was cast, Elena already knew the result. 23 against, 8 abstentions, 4 in favor, all minor powers with their own reasons to challenge the status quo. "The petition is denied," Joran declared. "The Council recommends Earth continue to work through established protocols for colony protection." A ripple of what could only be described as amusement passed through the chamber. Several Draconian delegates openly laughed, a wheezing, hissing sound that made Admiral Singh's hand instinctively move toward a weapon he wasn't carrying. In that moment, Elena made her decision. She stood, the movement so abrupt that it silenced the chamber. Protocol dictated she should accept the ruling with gratitude for the council's wisdom. Instead, she activated her microphone. "Earth acknowledges the council's decision," she began, her voice steady despite the fury building inside her. "And in response, effective immediately, I am withdrawing humanity from the Galactic Council." The silence that followed was absolute. Then came the chaos. Joran struck his ceremonial staff against the floor. "Ambassador Cross, this is unprecedented. You cannot." "I can and I have," Elena replied, gathering her materials. "For 20 years, humanity has sought partnership in good faith. We have observed your customs, followed your regulations, and received nothing but condescension and obstruction in return. Today's vote is merely the final evidence that this body has no interest in human security or prosperity." Admiral Singh and Director Hayes stood beside her, faces composed but alert. They had discussed this contingency, though none of them had truly expected to implement it. "This is most irregular," the Alteran delegate called out. "Perhaps the humans need time to reconsider." "What we need," Elena cut in, "is what we have always needed: the freedom to determine our own fate. Since the Council refuses to recognize that right, we will exercise it independently." As they walked toward the exit, the chamber erupted in a cacophony of protests, threats, and demands. Elena didn't look back. She had spent her entire diplomatic career in that chamber, fighting for every small concession, swallowing every insult. Now she felt only liberation. In the corridor outside, Admiral Singh finally spoke. "It's done then." "It's done," Elena confirmed. "Alert President Rao. We'll need an emergency session of the United Nations Security Council as soon as we return to Earth." "And the contingency protocols?" Hayes asked quietly. Elena paused, the weight of what those protocols entailed settling on her shoulders. "Initiate Stage 1. It's time we showed the galaxy what humanity can do when we stop asking for permission." As their shuttle departed the massive council station, Elena watched the gleaming structure recede into the distance. Inside that imposing edifice, representatives of the galaxy's oldest and most powerful civilizations were still debating how to respond to humanity's unprecedented defiance. They had no idea what was coming. President Arjun Rao stood before the assembled representatives of Earth's nations, his normally calm demeanor replaced by intense focus. The United Nations Security Council chamber in New York was packed beyond capacity, with additional officials joining via secure holographic links. "Ambassador Cross has provided her report," he said, gesturing to Elena, who sat to his right. "The Council's rejection of our petition was unanimous among the major powers. Our withdrawal is now a matter of public record across the galaxy." The Chinese representative leaned forward. "And what does this mean for our colonies? For our trade agreements? We have investments spanning dozens of star systems." "It means we stand alone," Elena replied. "But perhaps we always did." The room erupted in overlapping questions and concerns. President Rao allowed it to continue for several moments before raising his hand for silence. "We have prepared for this eventuality," he said. "For the past 15 years, while Ambassador Cross and her team have represented us publicly in the Council, we have been developing alternatives." He nodded to Admiral Singh, who activated a secure holographic display in the center of the room. It showed a detailed map of human-controlled space, with pulsing indicators highlighting key installations. "Operation Independent Shield has been in development since our 3rd year in the Council," Singh explained. "When it became clear that the galactic powers viewed us as children to be managed rather than equals to be respected. The first phase is already underway," President Rao continued. "Our military forces are consolidating around our core colonies. Non-essential personnel are being evacuated from outposts in disputed territories, and our more Specialized assets are being deployed to the Kepler sector. Specialized assets? The Brazilian representative raised an eyebrow. What exactly have you been keeping from this council, Mr. President? Rao's expression remained carefully neutral. Only what was necessary. I believe Ambassador Cross should explain the rest. Elena stood, conscious that her next words would change humanity's path irrevocably. 20 years ago, when we first encountered the Council, we presented ourselves as we were, an emerging spacefaring species eager to learn and cooperate. They responded by restricting our technology, limiting our expansion, and forcing us to comply with regulations designed to keep newer civilizations dependent on the established powers. She moved to the holographic display and expanded the view to show Luna, Earth's moon. What they don't know is that we never stopped innovating. While I smiled and negotiated in their chambers, we built this. The display zoomed in on what appeared to be a standard research facility on the far side of Luna. Then the image shifted, revealing vast underground complexes extending kilometers below the lunar surface. Project Prometheus, Elena said. The most advanced weapons research program in human history, conducted entirely outside Council oversight or detection. The room had gone deathly quiet. The Council's technology is impressive, Elena continued, but it has stagnated. Many of the elder races have used the same systems for millennia. They've forgotten how to truly innovate. We haven't. She gestured, and the display changed to show a slender, almost artistic-looking device. Dr. Lena Foster heads our quantum displacement division. Her team has developed weapons that don't just destroy targets. They remove them from existence at the subatomic level. Impossible, whispered someone. We thought so too, until 3 years ago. Elena nodded to Admiral Singh, who changed the display again to show footage of a barren asteroid. A small device activated near it, and without any visible beam or explosion, a third of the asteroid simply vanished. Not exploded, not shattered. The material was simply gone, leaving a perfectly smooth concave surface where it had been. The Council prohibits this level of weapons research, the French representative noted. We signed treaties. Treaties that left our people vulnerable to pirates and unofficial aggression from the major powers. Admiral Singh replied. We made a choice to protect ourselves. There's more, Elena said. Director Hayes? Hayes stepped forward, his academic demeanor belying the significance of what he was about to reveal. While Project Prometheus focused on offensive capabilities, we've also revolutionized our stealth and defensive technologies. We've developed methods to mask entire planets from standard Council scanning systems. Our newest colony ships can travel using corridors in space-time that the Council doesn't know exist. President Rao reclaimed the floor. The question before us is no longer whether we stay in the Council. That decision has been made. The question is what we do with our independence and these capabilities. The Russian representative stood. We use them. The pirates in Kepler have Council backing. Everyone knows this. They are the deniable assets of the Draconians and Meridians, testing our resolve. I say we show them exactly how resolved we are. Murmurs of agreement spread through the chamber. The Canadian representative looked troubled. Are we truly considering unilateral military action? That would confirm every negative thing the Council has said about our species. And what would you suggest? Admiral Singh asked. That we watch our colonies fall one by one? That we evacuate millions of our citizens from worlds they've spent decades building? We need time to consider all options, the Indian representative said. This is not a decision to be made in haste. President Rao nodded. We will reconvene tomorrow. In the meantime, I am authorizing defensive deployments to our most vulnerable colonies. If attacked, our forces will respond. As the meeting adjourned, Elena found herself alone with Admiral Singh and Director Hayes in a small adjoining room. They'll come around, Singh said. They always do when their citizens are at risk. Elena wasn't so sure. We're asking them to approve an essentially secret military buildup and potentially start a conflict with powers that outmatch us in numbers, if not in technology. Do we have a choice? Hayes asked. You saw how they laughed at us in the council chamber. They've been waiting for this, waiting to put us in our place. Elena turned to the window, looking out at the New York skyline. Somewhere up there, beyond the blue sky, the council was already plotting its response to humanity's defiance. Contact Dr. Foster, she said finally. Tell her to prepare ghost hunter units for deployment to New Montana and New Seattle. And sing. Yes, Ambassador? Activate Commander Ruiz and his team. It's time to hunt some pirates. In the sterile, white laboratory, deep beneath the lunar surface, Dr. Lena Foster watched her team prepare the ghost hunter units for deployment. The sleek, autonomous drones contained the most advanced versions of her quantum displacement technology, capable of locating and eliminating targets with surgical precision. Status report? She asked her chief engineer. All systems nominal, Dr. Foster. The targeting protocols have been updated with the latest pirate vessel signatures. Deploy pods are being loaded now. Lena nodded, trying to ignore the knot in her stomach. For years, she had developed this technology with the justification that it would never be used, that its very existence would be enough to protect humanity if the truth ever came out. Now her creations were going to war. Her console chimed with an incoming transmission. Commander Omar Ruiz's weathered face appeared on the screen. Dr. Foster, my team is en route to the staging area on Titan. We'll rendezvous with your packages there. Ruiz was a legend in certain circles, a former Special Forces operator who now led the most covert human military unit in existence. His ghost operatives were enhanced soldiers trained to use experimental technology against superior alien forces. The ghost hunters aren't fully tested in combat conditions, Lena warned. The quantum field could behave unpredictably around certain alien shield configurations. Ruiz's expression didn't change. That's why we're going along to make sure the job gets done, one way or another. How many units are we getting? 12 primary units and 4 backups. They're keyed to respond to your team's command codes. Ruiz nodded. We deploy in 36 hours. The Kepler situation can't wait any longer. After the transmission ended, Lena sat back in her chair, considering what they were about to unleash. The quantum displacement effect didn't just destroy matter. It removed it from the universe entirely. No debris, no radiation, no chance for recovery or rescue. Targets would simply cease to exist. Are we crossing a line? She asked her assistant. We crossed it years ago when we started this project, he replied. Now we're just finding out where it leads. 3 weeks later, Elena Cross sat in her office in Geneva, reading the first reports from the Kepler sector. The screen before her displayed classified footage that made her breath catch. A pirate fleet, 37 ships of various sizes, had been detected approaching the human mining colony on New Montana. Standard protocols would have called for evacuation, as the colony had minimal defenses against such a force. Instead, the footage showed something very different. As the pirate ships entered the outer defense perimeter, small objects detached from hidden positions on several asteroids. The ghost hunter units, nearly invisible to standard sensors, accelerated toward the fleet. The pirates, detecting the approach too late, began evasive maneuvers and powered up their weapons. They never got the chance to fire. The lead ghost hunter activated its quantum displacement field, and the pirate flagship, a cruiser-class vessel with draconian design elements, simply vanished. No explosion, no debris. One moment it existed, and the next it did not. The recording showed the remaining pirate ships freezing in confusion, then panicking. 3 more vessels disappeared before the rest fled, their engines pushed beyond safe limits in their desperation to escape. Admiral Singh's voice came through her comm unit. You've seen the footage? Yes, Elena replied, her voice tight. 37 ships approached, 33 left, and those 4 that didn't, There's nothing left to recover or identify. Exactly as planned, Singh said, satisfaction evident in his tone. The pirates won't know what happened or how to defend against it. Word will spread. And when it does, how will the council respond? They'll bluster and threaten, but without evidence of what happened or how we did it, what can they actually do? Elena wasn't convinced. This changes everything, Singh. We've just revealed that we possess technology far beyond what the council thought possible. Good, the admiral replied simply. Let them worry about what else we might have. After ending the call, Elena sat alone in her office, wrestling with the implications. She had spent her career pursuing diplomatic solutions, believing in the possibility of peaceful coexistence. Now, she had authorized what amounted to a revolutionary new form of warfare. The pirates had been attacking human colonies for years, killing civilians with impunity. They deserved their fate. So why did she feel this weight on her conscience? Perhaps because she knew this was just the beginning. Over the next month, reports flooded in from across human space. Pirate groups targeting the new Dallas supply lines disappeared without trace. A Meridian survey vessel that had been harassing the research outpost on Proxima Centauri b vanished during a particularly aggressive approach. A draconian military ship conducting exercises near the new Seattle colony mysteriously lost its weapons array. Not destroyed, but precisely removed as if it had never been attached to the hull. The message was clear. Humanity would no longer tolerate incursions into its territory. In response, the council convened an emergency session. Elena declined to attend, sending instead a junior diplomat with instructions to observe, but not engage. The footage from that session showed council leader Jorin in a state of barely contained fury. The humans have violated numerous treaties, he declared. They have deployed prohibited weapons technology and engaged in unauthorized military actions. We demand their immediate return to council authority and the surrender of all advanced weapon systems. The human representative, as instructed, had simply responded, Earth respectfully declines to recognize the council's authority in this matter. We are exercising our sovereign right to self-defense. When the council threatened sanctions and military intervention, the representative had delivered Elena's carefully crafted message. Earth welcomes any official delegation wishing to discuss new terms for mutual cooperation between equals. We do not, however, recognize the Council's right to dictate human affairs. As expected, the Council chambers had erupted in outrage. Less expected was the quiet approach from the Alteran representative afterward, requesting a private channel to discuss potential realignment of interests. The galaxy was reacting to humanity's sudden assertion of power, and not all reactions were hostile. Species that had chafed under council restrictions began making tentative diplomatic overtures to Earth. Smaller powers that had voted in favor of the human petition now sought closer ties. We're rewriting the Galactic Order, Director Hayes told Elena during their daily briefing. The question is whether we're ready for the responsibility that comes with it. We may not have a choice, Elena replied. The Draconians are mobilizing their fleet. Our intelligence suggests they're planning something significant. New Seattle? Hayes asked. Elena nodded. It's our most resource-rich colony, and the closest to their territory. A perfect target to make an example of us. Commander Ruiz's team is already there, along with most of our Ghost Hunter units. And Dr. Foster has been working on something new, a planetary defense system using the same quantum technology. Will it be enough against a full Draconian armada? Hayes hesitated. That depends on how far we're willing to go. The question hung between them, unanswered. Later that evening, Elena found Admiral Singh in the headquarters Strategic Command Center, reviewing deployment patterns. If you're here to discuss ethical constraints on our response to the Draconians, save your breath, he said without looking up. They're coming to annihilate a human colony. There are 3 million civilians on New Seattle. "I'm not here to argue for restraint," Elena replied, surprising him enough that he finally met her gaze. "I'm here to make sure we're prepared to do what's necessary." Singh studied her for a moment. "You've changed, Ambassador." "We've all changed. The question is whether we're changing into something we'll regret becoming." "You mean like the very powers that forced us into this position?" Singh's laugh was without humor. "There's a difference. We're not expanding. We're not conquering. We're protecting what's ours." "And when does protection become dominance?" Elena asked. "The quantum technology doesn't just give us the ability to defend ourselves. It gives us the power to eliminate any opposition completely. No remains. No evidence. Just erasure." Singh's expression hardened. "Would you prefer we fight conventionally? Watch our people die in the thousands because we're squeamish about using our advantages?" "No," Elena admitted. "But we need to be clear about what lines we won't cross. Total war against pirate ships is one thing. Using the same approach against major civilizations is another." "The Draconians aren't coming to negotiate," Singh pointed out. "They're coming to destroy New Seattle and everyone on it. What lines do you think they've drawn?" Elena had no answer for that. The Admiral was right. The Draconians intended to make an example of humanity, to show the galaxy what happened to species that defied the established order. "How many ships?" she asked finally. "Our deep space monitoring suggests they're assembling a fleet of at least 500 capital ships, with supporting vessels bringing the total to around 1,000. The number was staggering. Even with their advanced technology, humanity couldn't hope to match that kind of firepower in a conventional battle. "And our options?" Singh activated a holographic display showing the new Seattle system. Dr. Foster's team has been installing quantum displacement devices throughout the system for weeks. Some are hidden in asteroids, others are disguised as small moons or debris fields. Together, they create a defensive grid that can target and eliminate enemy ships as they arrive. "Can the system handle that many targets?" "It's never been tested at that scale," Singh admitted. "But even if it only eliminates their front line, the psychological impact of seeing their vanguard simply disappear should be significant." Elena considered this. "And if it's not enough? If they press the attack despite their losses?" Singh's face was grim. "Then Commander Ruiz deploys the Sunflare Protocol." "Which is?" "A quantum displacement device modified to create a chain reaction. Essentially, it could erase a significant portion of their fleet simultaneously." Elena felt cold. "And has this been tested?" "In simulation only. The potential for it to go wrong is considerable," Singh finished for her. "Which is why it's a last resort. But if the choice is between risking an untested weapon and watching 3 million humans die..." He let the statement hang. Elena nodded slowly. "Keep me informed of all developments. I want hourly updates on the Draconian fleet movements." As she turned to leave, Singh called after her. "Ambassador, when the moment comes, the order will have to come from you. President Rao has been clear on that point. Political authority must control military action." "I understand," Elena said, though the weight of that responsibility felt crushing. The Draconian Armada arrived at New Seattle 3 days later. 1,000 warships, arranged in precise formation, dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. Their weapons were powered and ready, their intent unmistakable. Emperor Draxmore himself addressed the colony from his flagship, his reptilian features filling the emergency broadcast channels. "Humans of New Seattle," he hissed, "your species has violated the natural order of the galaxy. Today, we restore that order. Surrender your colony and withdraw to your homeworld, or be destroyed as an example to others who would defy their betters." He gave them 1 hour to evacuate, an impossible deadline for a colony of 3 million. In the Strategic Command Center on Earth, Elena watched the deployment with President Rao and the military high command. The massive holographic display showed the Draconian ships advancing in perfect formation toward New Seattle. "They expect us to run," Admiral Singh observed. "They have no idea what's waiting for them." "Dr. Foster's defense grid is fully operational," reported a technician. "All units report ready status." Elena looked to President Rao. "Sir, once we activate the grid, there's no going back. The galaxy will know exactly what we're capable of." Rao's face was solemn. "They already suspect. After today, they'll know for certain." He turned to Elena. "The order is yours to give. Ambassador, you've represented humanity to the galaxy for 20 years. It's fitting that you should be the one to declare our true independence." Elena felt the weight of history pressing down on her. Everything she had worked for as a diplomat, cooperation, mutual understanding, peaceful coexistence, seemed to be slipping away. Yet, if they did nothing, millions would die. "Activate the defense grid," she said, her voice steady despite the turmoil within. "Target the lead ships first." "Grid activating," the technician confirmed. "First targets acquired." On the display, they watched as the lead Draconian dreadnought approached the outer defense perimeter. There was no visible beam, no projectile, no warning. One moment the massive warship existed, and the next, it simply didn't. The space it had occupied was empty. Before the Draconians could react, 2 more capital ships vanished in the same manner. Then 3 more. The remaining ships halted their advance, clearly confused by what they were witnessing. "They're attempting to scan the system for weapon signatures," reported an intelligence officer. "They won't find any. The quantum displacement technology doesn't leave an energy trace they can detect." On the screen, the Draconian formation was breaking apart as ships maneuvered erratically, trying to avoid whatever invisible weapon was targeting them. Another 4 ships disappeared, seemingly at random. "Emperor Draxmore is sending a system-wide transmission," the communications officer announced. "Let's hear it," Elena said. The Emperor's voice filled the command center, his previous arrogance replaced by barely controlled rage and confusion. "What is the meaning of this treachery? You employ forbidden weapons. The Council will—" "The Council has no authority here," Elena replied, gesturing for her words to be transmitted back to the Draconian fleet. "You entered human territory with a conquest fleet. We are defending what is ours." "This is not defense," Draxmore snarled. "This is abomination. No species should wield such power." As he spoke, the defense grid claimed 3 more ships. "Withdraw your fleet immediately," Elena continued, "or we will be forced to escalate our response." For a moment, it seemed the Emperor might comply. Several ships at the rear of the formation were already turning away. Then, a new voice cut in, deeper, more aggressive. "The Draconian hegemony does not retreat from lesser beings." General Carthel, Draxmore's military commander, had taken control. "All ships advance at maximum speed. Overwhelm their defenses before they can target more of us." The remaining Draconian ships surged forward, weapons firing blindly into space, hoping to hit the invisible defense platforms by chance. Some of their shots connected, and several nodes in the defense grid went dark. "Grid effectiveness down to 60%, reported the technician. "We can't target them fast enough to stop the advance." Elena watched as hundreds of Draconian ships accelerated toward New Seattle. The colony's conventional defenses, orbital platforms, and ground-based weapons were already firing, but they would be hopelessly outmatched by the approaching armada. Admiral Singh moved to her side. "Ambassador, we need to authorize the Sunflare Protocol. Now." Elena hesitated. The Sunflare was untested outside of simulations. If it worked as designed, it would erase dozens, perhaps hundreds of ships simultaneously. If it malfunctioned, the consequences were unpredictable. "Do we have any other options?" she asked. "Not if we want to save New Seattle," Singh replied grimly. President Rao joined them. "The decision is yours, Ambassador, but I concur with Admiral Singh's assessment. We cannot allow the Draconians to reach the colony. Elena closed her eyes briefly, centering herself. When she opened them, her resolve was firm. "Authorize Sunflare," she ordered. "Target the center of their formation." Admiral Singh relayed the command to Commander Ruiz on New Seattle. Moments later, a small, unmanned craft detached from one of the orbital platforms and accelerated toward the Draconian fleet. "Sunflare platform is in position," reported the technician. "Quantum field initializing." On the display, the small craft seemed insignificant against the backdrop of the massive Draconian warships. Then, a faint shimmer appeared around it, expanding rapidly. What happened next would be described in 1,000 different ways across the galaxy in the days to come. Some would call it a miracle, others an atrocity. The official record would simply state, "The Sunflare quantum displacement field engaged and performed beyond expected parameters." As the field expanded, Draconian ships began to vanish, not one by one, but in waves. The field moved through the formation like a scythe through wheat, erasing matter at the subatomic level. Ships didn't explode or break apart. They simply ceased to exist. Within minutes, over 300 Draconian vessels were gone. The flagship, carrying Emperor Draxmore and General Carthel, was among them. The remaining ships, witnessing the inexplicable elimination of their comrades and leaders, broke formation completely. Some fled immediately, jumping to faster-than-light speed with emergency protocols that risked their engines. Others surrendered, powering down weapons and broadcasting pleas for mercy. In the command center, stunned silence gave way to muted celebrations. They had faced the galaxy's most feared military power, and not just survived. They had decisively won. Yet Elena felt no triumph. The display showed the empty space where hundreds of ships and thousands of lives had been. Not destroyed, but erased, as if they had never existed at all. "Secure the system," she ordered. "Accept the surrenders and allow the retreating ships safe passage once they're beyond our defensive perimeter." As the others carried out her instructions, a communications officer approached. "Ambassador, we're receiving a transmission from the Draconian secondary command vessel. It's unusual." "Put it through to my private channel," Elena said, moving to a separate console. The face that appeared wasn't Draconian. It belonged to a Thracian, one of the servant species that often worked as aides to Draconian nobility. The slender, blue-skinned being looked terrified. "Ambassador Cross," it began, voice trembling. "I am Assistant Vex, senior aide to Emperor Draxmore. I am authorized to discuss terms." Elena kept her expression neutral. "The Emperor is gone, Assistant Vex, as is General Carthel. Who exactly are you speaking for?" "For the Succession Council," Vex replied. "The Emperor's disappearance has complicated matters at home. I am instructed to inquire about the nature of the weapon used today, and whether the humans intend to deploy it against the Draconian homeworlds." The question took Elena by surprise. They feared a human counterattack, an invasion using the quantum technology to simply erase their civilization. "We have no such intentions," she said carefully. "Humanity seeks security, not conquest. The defense of New Seattle was necessitated by your unprovoked aggression." Relief washed over the aide's features. "I am authorized to offer immediate withdrawal from all contested regions, recognition of human territorial claims in the Kepler sector, and reparations for previous acts of piracy conducted with Draconian support." "A generous offer," Elena noted, "considering you just tried to destroy one of our colonies." "The Succession Council is pragmatic," Vex replied. "They have seen what your technology can do. They prefer accommodation to extinction." After the transmission ended, Elena rejoined President Rao and Admiral Singh. She relayed the conversation, noting the fear underlying the Draconian offer. "They think we're going to do to their homeworlds what we did to their fleet," Singh said with a grim smile. Good. Let them worry. Is that what we've become? Elena asked quietly. A threat so terrifying that ancient civilizations tremble at the thought of our displeasure? If it keeps our people safe, Rao replied. Then yes. For too long, humanity was dismissed as weak and inconsequential. That ends today. Elena wasn't so sure. As the reports continued to come in, draconian ships withdrawing from human space, other council powers requesting urgent discussions, smaller species seeking alliances, she found herself wondering about the future they were creating. They had won their independence through superior technology and the willingness to use it. But at what cost to their humanity? 5 years passed. The galaxy had changed dramatically in the wake of what was now called the Battle of New Seattle. The Council still existed, but its authority had been severely diminished. Many species had withdrawn or reduced their participation, forming regional alliances better suited to their interests. Humanity had emerged as the center of a new interstellar partnership, the Terran Alliance, which now included 17 formerly Council-aligned species and a dozen independent worlds. The alliance operated on principles of mutual defense and technological cooperation, with each member maintaining significant autonomy. The quantum displacement technology remained exclusively human, though rumors persisted of other species attempting to develop their own versions. The existence of the technology had fundamentally altered galactic politics. No power, no matter how ancient or widespread, could risk direct confrontation with humanity or its allies. Elena Cross, now serving as the Alliance's chief diplomat, stood once again in the great Blackstone chamber of the Galactic Council. The space seemed smaller than she remembered, and far emptier. Many of the seats remained vacant, their former occupants having chosen other paths in the new galactic order. Council leader Joran was gone, replaced by a Vortani representative who had always been more pragmatic than ideological. The Draconians were still present, though their delegation was notably subdued. The Alterans had become humanity's strongest supporters, having recognized early which way the winds were shifting. The Council recognizes Ambassador Cross of the Terran Alliance, the new leader announced. We welcome her return to this chamber after a lengthy absence. Elena nodded in acknowledgement. I thank the Council for its invitation. The Alliance is pleased to open this new chapter in our relationship. What followed was a carefully choreographed diplomatic dance. The Council formally recognized the Terran Alliance as a legitimate galactic power. Trade agreements were proposed. Cultural exchanges were suggested. The underlying message was clear. The old powers were seeking accommodation with the new reality. After the session concluded, Elena was approached by the Alteran representative, the same one who had abstained from the vote that had set all of this in motion 5 years earlier. You must feel vindicated, Ambassador, the Alteran said, her luminescent skin pulsing with patterns that indicated respect. To return here as the representative of the galaxy's ascendant power. Vindication implies I sought revenge, Elena replied. I only ever wanted respect and security for my people. And now you have both, along with something far more valuable, fear. The Alteran's patterns shifted to indicate thoughtfulness. The question many of us ask is, what will humanity do with its newfound prominence? Will you become what you once opposed? It was a question Elena had asked herself countless times over the past 5 years. The quantum technology had given humanity unprecedented power, and power had a way of corrupting even the noblest intentions. We seek partnership, not dominance, she said finally. The Alliance is proof of that. We could have conquered, but instead, we invited cooperation. Yes, on your terms, the Alteran noted, with your technology held in reserve as the ultimate arbiter. As opposed to the Council's approach, millennia of regulations designed to keep newer species subordinate while pretending to treat them as equals. Elena shook her head. At least our system acknowledges the reality of power, while striving to use it responsibly. The Alteran's patterns indicated amusement. Perhaps that is progress of a sort. The old council claimed moral authority while practicing realpolitik in the shadows. Your alliance admits the foundation of its order openly. As the Alteran departed, Elena remained in the chamber, looking at the empty seats that had once been filled with representatives of the galaxy's most ancient civilizations. Some had joined the alliance. Others had formed their own cooperative groups. A few had retreated into isolation, watching warily from the sidelines. The galaxy was reorganizing itself around a new center: humanity and its allies. The transition had been remarkably peaceful after that initial demonstration of power. No species wanted to risk becoming the next example. Admiral Singh approached, now serving as the Alliance's military liaison. The Council seems eager to establish a working relationship. Fear is a powerful motivator, Elena replied. As is respect, Singh countered. Don't discount what we've built. Ambassador, the Alliance isn't maintained through threats alone. Our technological sharing, our open markets, our cultural exchanges, these have created genuine bonds. Elena knew he was right. The aftermath of New Seattle could have led humanity down a dark path, using their power to dominate rather than cooperate. Instead, they had chosen a middle way. Neither the Council's hollow pretense of equality nor the naked imperialism that their technology could have enabled. The Council has requested permission to apply for observer status in the Alliance, Singh continued. Ironic, considering where we started. Elena allowed herself a small smile at that. History has a sense of humor, it seems. As they prepared to depart, Elena took one last look at the chamber that had once represented the pinnacle of galactic civilization. Its grandeur remained, but its significance had diminished. Power had shifted, and with it, the course of history. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if they had approved our petition that day? Singh asked. If they had granted us the mining rights and defensive authority we requested? Sometimes, Elena admitted. We might still be sitting in our little section, grateful for whatever crumbs the elder races deigned to give us. Instead, we changed the galaxy. For better or worse, Elena added. The shuttle departed the Council station, just as it had 5 years earlier. But this time, Elena wasn't leaving in defiance. She was leaving having achieved what once seemed impossible: humanity's recognition as a true galactic power. As they accelerated away, Elena reflected on the journey that had brought them here. The diplomatic humiliations, the secret preparations, the terrible decisions and their far-reaching consequences. The price had been high, but the result was undeniable. The day mankind departed the Galactic Council was the day the universe learned that humanity would forge its own destiny, not through pleas or petitions, but through the unwavering determination to stand as equals in a cosmos that had underestimated them for the last time. In her private quarters, Elena opened a secure channel to Earth. President Rao's face appeared, older now, but still conveying the same quiet strength. The council session went as expected, she reported. They've formally recognized the alliance and requested observer status. Rao nodded. A significant step. And the Draconian delegation? Subdued. Their new emperor seems more interested in internal matters than galactic politics. Understandable, given their recent civil disturbances. Rao paused. And what's your assessment, Elena? After all these years, have we created something better than what came before? Elena considered the question carefully. We've created something different, more honest about the realities of power, perhaps. Whether it's better, she shrugged. History will decide. That's all any of us can hope for, Rao replied. Safe journey home, Ambassador. As the transmission ended, Elena turned to the viewport, watching the stars streak by as the ship accelerated to faster than light speed. Somewhere out there, countless civilizations were adjusting to the new order, an order where humanity stood not as supplicants, but as architects of the future. The journey had changed them. The idealistic diplomat who had first entered the council chamber 2 decades ago would hardly recognize the pragmatic leader she had become. Yet, the core principle remained the same: securing humanity's place among the stars. In the end, respect born of strength had proven far more durable than any diplomatic platitude. It wasn't the future she had envisioned, but it was the future they had earned. A galaxy where humanity would never again be dismissed or marginalized. And for now, that was enough.